Hello, everyone. This grammar lesson is going to focus on active and passive voice. Active and passive voice is a really important concept for us to learn as media writers because we as media writers should be writing an active voice as much as possible. Action within a sentence is really important, and instead of just describing the situation, it's more important to show what actions are going on. And so using active voice is really the preferred method of writing for media professionals. Now, you may get confused by active and passive voice, but thankfully the concepts are really clear once you understand them. In active voice, the sentence has a subject that acts upon its verb. The subject of the sentence is the one doing the verb, so the action in the sentence is being drawn by the subject. Active voice allows for the writing to be strong, direct, and clear in tone. This is why it's the preferred method of writing for journalists, because it's shorter and it's a little easier to understand than passive voice. Passive voice, on the other hand, is where the subject is being acted upon by the verb. Usually passive voice involves some conjugation of the words to be, such as is, was, or were, plus the past participle of a verb. Usually it also includes prepositions. So in the case of it is being loved by me, this would be an example of passive voice where the subject, it, is being acted upon by the verb, is being loved, and the prepositional phrase by me is really who's doing the action. So the object here is being placed first, where the subject is being placed in the preposition, and that's what makes it passive. Let's look at a couple of different examples. The dog chased the squirrel. Here, the animal that is doing the chasing is the dog. The dog is the one that is chasing the squirrel up the tree. So the dog is the subject. It is performing the verb chase, and the object of being chased is the squirrel. So here we have subject, verb, object. That's exactly what we want for active voice. Meanwhile, the passive voice example of this sentence would be the squirrel was chased by the dog. But again, this is passive voice because you have object, verb, subject. Because the squirrel is being chased, and so it is really the object of the verb as opposed to the subject that is doing it. Here's another example for you. The dog was surprised by the photographer. Was the dog the one doing the surprising? No, the photographer was the one doing the surprising, so that should be our subject. The photographer surprised the dog. This allows the photographer to be the subject, the one that does the verb, surprised, and the object is the dog, who is the one who is surprised. In order to change a sentence from passive to active voice, the first thing you need to do is identify the subject. In the example below, Sally drove her car off the road, or the car was driven off the road by Sally, we can tell that the subject of the sentence is Sally. And so we should move that to the front of the sentence, allow her to do her action, which is drove, and then identify the object. What did she drive? She drove her car and she drove it off the road, which is also necessary information to understand what's going on. The same thing for Timmy was bitten on the arm by the dog. The dog is the one who bites, and so therefore it should be the subject of the sentence. The dog bit, now the object, that's going to be Timmy. Timmy is the one that receives the bite. The dog bit Timmy on the arm. All information we need to know for the sentence. So that's an example of how you would change passive voice to active voice. So first start with the subject, then identify the verb, and then add the object and other additional information as needed. Let's try again. An error has occurred with your bank account, but every attempt was made to remedy it. Do you know who the subject is here? It's not really listed, right? It's very vague. You can't tell who made the error. And we can probably guess that it was the bank that made the error, but you don't really know. So instead, we, the bank, made a banking error involving your account, and our associates fixed it. Now we know who the subject is, we, the bank, and our associates. We know what happened. They made an error. They fixed it. And we have the object. The error was made with the account. They fixed the error. So whenever possible, you want to use active voice in media writing. In fact, you should use active voice unless you can't write the sentence any other way. And almost all sentences can be written in active voice when you try. So now that you have a little bit better understanding of active and passive voice, I want you to do your AP homework, which will be due Friday. Just upload that back into Canvas by Friday. And then read the second half of chapter 4, which is going to focus on common writing errors. Just as a reminder, I had to change the order of today's module, and we will not have a video on mastering grammar. I just want you to focus on what the textbook says in that section.